Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Thursday. It is Things to Think on Thursday. I'm back here. We're gonna attempt the, when I say we, I mean we are gonna attempt getting into the vortex, which is basically getting into self-awareness. So, fingers crossed. For those that watch pretty regularly, it's the self-awareness cards have been a struggle, but I noted a couple days ago that, or a couple shows ago, that it's because I'm in this part now of my journey where it's just I'm becoming self-aware. And so becoming self-aware and having that self-awareness is really kind of a work in progress. So you gotta bear with me. So anyways, let's see. Start with the morning mantras. The right thing to do isn't always the easy thing to do, but it's easier to know I did it than to hate that I didn't. Adds reminder to day planner, and the day planner says forgive them on Monday, Tuesday forgive myself. So I know, remember, forgiveness isn't always about just saying, oh hey, welcome back into my life. It's about, it really is more. People always say, how is forgiveness more for me than them? Because you're giving yourself that peace of mind. You're saying, you know what, there's two scenarios. I forgive you, let's work on this. But let's work on this in a new way. Let's start at the beginning and see where we go. And there's another way. I forgive you, but right now, I can't. I can't have you in my life. Your behavior is toxic until you change. No. And so there are a lot of different scenarios. There are a lot of different, possible solutions to those issues. And, they always say time heals all wounds, right? And they don't always. They might heal them to a point, but it depends on how much damage has been done in whatever situation requires the forgiveness. That you can't force somebody into forgiving you. Okay, you can't force someone out of their comfort zone and say, hey, because sometimes the damage is so bad they need to work through it. And I think it's healthy to work through it, regardless of whether you let someone back in your life or not. Staying angry is just giving that situation more power. And I learned that last night, and I think that's why today might be a bit of a struggle. Like at the 11th hour, right before I was about to hit play on the show, I'm like, I can't do this today. I can't do this. I did some really heavy lifting yesterday when it came to journaling. I was so emotionally exhausted. I actually had to take a nap yesterday afternoon. And then last night, per my therapy homework, my therapist is having me write the story of my life, but from, a fresh pair of eyes, because I'm healed now. Well, I think healing, you know what? I don't know if I'm healed or not. I'll be honest. I'm not sure if this healing process is going to be a long time thing, or, I am in that really good place now. I mean, I know I'm in that really good place now, but it always feels like something just comes up, and maybe that's just it. Maybe I'm healed, but there's always going to be those after effects. There's always going to be those triggers, and how we deal with it is how we are able to move forward. So, I was writing a very important chapter in my life last night, which was basically the relationship with my mom. And I love my mom. I miss my mom every day. And I finally came to the conclusion that maybe sometimes, even though there were these things that she did, I had to forgive her for them. Because there's a lot of things I found out about her life that I didn't know, that she never told me, and my dad told me later. And that's not my story to tell, that's hers, and she's not here to tell it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. However, it explained a lot. And it explained a lot with our own relationship. And I realized, you know what? In order for me to move on, I have to let go of these things. I have to forgive these things. They're in the past. I am, truly believe she did the best she could do with the tools that she had. And, I'm grateful because, I called my dad the other day and said, yeah, there won't be a chapter about you because thanks for always being, empathetic and compassionate. And I mean, my dad and I have had some doozy arguments, but, and I mean doozies. When a Capricorn and a Scorpio fight or argue, you do not want to be in the line of fire. But, I know I'm surrounded by Scorpios, but yeah, I think it really, really just drained me. And it drained me last night, and I finished writing it right before I went to bed, so I haven't really had time to process what I wrote. But in the end, I remember just saying that, it's time to let this go. I have to forgive all these things. I have to let go of all these things because they're not doing anything but harming me. They're holding me back. They're making me emotional. and I came to the conclusion that, excuse me, perhaps maybe the reason I still hold on to some of that anger is because I just miss her so much. The last couple of decades of my mom's life, we had a pretty good relationship. The one I'd always hoped we'd had my entire life. But from my 20s until, when she passed away, it got better. It got better. It got so much better. I mean, we seemed to exist on the same level all of a sudden. And it was a beautiful thing. It was a really beautiful thing. And then she was gone. And I thought, wait, there's so much I haven't done yet. And I think maybe, this is interesting because while I'm saying this is hitting my head. It might be why I struggle to move forward. I always told older sibling, I said, whatever it is that is my obstacle, it's going to be something that I would have never thought of. It's not going to have anything to do with all the stuff that I've healed. Well, it kind of does, but it not in the same way. Maybe it's possible. I'm going to journal about it today, and maybe I'll talk about it on Monday, depending on what comes out of my head, if it does match this. Maybe the reason I struggle to move forward is because she's not here. Not because she's not here to push me forward, but because if I do great things in my life, no matter what it is, when you're a parent, you're proud of your kids, regardless of whether you say it to them or not, which, let me tell you from experience with my mom, just tell them. I was in my 20s when I finally told her, it doesn't hurt to say it sometimes. I know you feel it, but it's nice to hear. And I'm not sure that she got that growing up. My grandma could be pretty hard. I mean, I love my grandma, but we called her the general for a reason. And, I think she just figured, are you doing, excuse me. Yeah, see, whenever this happens to my throat, because my throat's been clear all morning. Whenever this happens to my throat, I know it's because something's trying to come out and it's a struggle. So, I'm giving you guys all my tells, right? When I get itchy, it's because I have anxiety, which is funny because right behind my neck, I'm getting an itch. But when this happens, it's because I know something's trying to come out. And maybe it's trying to stop me. Maybe my subconscious is like, no, don't do it because then we're going to be exposed. It's okay to be exposed. You are your best protector. You are your greatest shield. Not the fears inside of you, not the holding back on things because you are frightened. The fear inside of you is not your friend. The fear in your head is not your friend. In your spidey instincts, it might be. All right. If you have a gut instinct that's saying, oh no, that's something to be afraid of, follow it. But the fear in your heart and the fear in your head that's trying to hold you back from good things, that's not your friend. That's not your friend. And that spidey instinct, that's a sixth sense. That's your soul saying, nope, this is not a good situation. You need to go. But now I'm beginning to wonder if the one thing that has been holding me back is because I don't have my mom here. I mean, yeah, I'm so appreciative of the fact that my dad is still here. I really am. But I guess in some weird way, there were a lot of times when I think I tried too hard and then would just, with having a dinged up mental health, and this isn't for everybody, but for me, having a dinged up mental health, the harder I push myself, and if I fail, I take the failures personally. And I'm working on that. I'm working on moving out of taking it personally and just saying, hey, you just figured out one way not to do it, or you just figured out 10 ways not to do it, but keep doing it because you will eventually, if it's something you love, you will eventually find the right way to do it. I mean, Benjamin Franklin threw a kite into the sky. He didn't invent electricity, all right, but he learned how to harness it. I mean, he figured out how to harness it. And, well, take back that first one because I really don't know. But he did learn how to harness it, right? He put it up there, the lightning hit it, and he's like, ooh, okay, we got something here. And then people did something with that later down the road. You know, you can argue the Tesla and the Edison thing all day long. So go for it. But, I mean, you know, you can argue it, but there are some facts there in favor of Tesla, but not the car guys, the actual guy, Nikola Tesla. But, anyways, I digress. I think, see, I do that too. I squirrel. And it doesn't matter if I'm doing a live. I will squirrel if my subconscious is afraid of talking about something. And I think I hit the nail on the head because I feel the emotions coming up that, you know, as silly as it might seem to some people that don't understand, you know, and it's not their fault. Okay. Don't shame people for not understanding what you're going through. Sometimes we have to walk them through it. Sometimes we have to explain it to them. But if you're a person that doesn't understand, be receptive, be understanding. Don't be judgmental. You know, when it came to my mental health, my mom was very judgmental and I didn't get the help I needed for a very long time. And that's not her fault, but it was my fault because I was constantly looking for validation from her, you know, and I felt like the harder I tried, the harder I fell. And I think now though, because we did find that positive footing in our relationship in the last 20 years of her life, that I feel like maybe the struggle really is me not moving forward because she's not here if I do something great. She's not here if something amazing happens in my life. She's not here if, you know, I mean, on the off chance that maybe one day I find a partner that wants to marry me, you know, my mom won't be there, you know, or has a part, you know, just has a ceremony, a bonding ceremony. She won't be. There's so many things in my life because I still have a lot of life left. There's so many things in my life my mom won't be there for. And, you know, it scares me a little. Or maybe not scared. Well, I think it scares me in the sense that, you know, my dad's getting older too. And my mom, to me, died pretty young. I mean, she had only been retired for about 6 years. She was in her mid-60s and poof, you know, just taken out by cancer. You know, Sissy Joe didn't even make it to 47. Poof, cancer took her out. You know, so when it comes to my mom, I think staying mad at her for so long was because I just miss her. And knowing that there is probably going to be a lot of amazing things that happen in my life before I die. You know, going through this healing journey and finding the light and standing outside and just basking in the sun of acceptance, the sun of healing, you know, the warmth that you feel when you get to a place that isn't so frightening, when your memories don't scare you or make you emotional every time you have them. It's a great feeling. And I'm not sure she would have understood it, but I know that in the relationship we had created in the last 20 years that she was alive, especially the last 10 and the path I had gone on, she would have tried, just like my dad does. You know, they would have tried to understand and, you know, and been supportive. I really believe that there would have been some kind of support there saying, hey, you know what? I mean, there might have been the off comment from my mom saying, well, it shouldn't have taken you this long because I raised you to be strong, but hey, I'm glad you got there. And, you know, it's kind of a backhanded compliment, but it was my mom, you know, and we all have our flaws. None of us are perfect, but I think, yeah, I'm honestly believing now that part of my see, I'm getting fidgety. I'm getting so fidgety. I'm like pulling things off my computer now. But I really think that's it. When we find a way to forgive our past, you know, and like I said at the very beginning of this, you don't have to reinvite people back into your life. You can forgive something, whether they're alive, whether they've passed, because you're forgiving the situation. You're forgiving the place that they put you in. And really, that forgiveness is that lock. You've just been given the key to that lock, and you get to choose, hey, do I put the key in this lock and turn it and forgive it and just let it go? Or do I hold on to this key forever and wonder how I would have been or how I would have felt? You know, forgiveness is the hardest thing to do. It really is, especially depending on the trauma and the damage that somebody might have done to you. It can be extremely hard because while they're off traipsing through their life, or, whether they passed on or not, when after they were done doing whatever they did to you, however they hurt you, they're off traipsing around their life. And, my dad said something to me the other day, which really it touched me, because we were talking about, people that have to heal things and people that have to heal trauma. And I said, and I thanked him for, him and my mom. I said, thank you for not letting me be a statistic. I see a lot of these true crime shows, and they always, go back to this traumatic event happened in their life or something similar to that. And then they went off and became a statistic somewhere. And, he said, and I told him, I said, so, thank you, because I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I still have my life. And what he said was, it really touched me, and I almost started crying because it touched me that deep. He just said, when you really stop and think about it, they still kind of take your life. Because nobody's ever the same after things like that. No one has that, you're not able to just go traipsing through life. Some people can. Some people just they're so healed, they're great. But it just depends on how much we allow ourselves to heal. It depends on how much we allow ourselves to forgive other people. And I'm not sitting here saying, oh, forgiveness because so-and-so said so. No, I'm just saying it, from my own experience, it set me free. It got me to a place now where I sit there and say, for the people that harmed me in my life when I was a child, I hope they're burning in hell or wherever bad place people believe in, But before I used to still protect it. I used to protect that because it's like, no, because, I'm sure there was something wrong and they were sick and maybe they were. But you know what? I've gotten to that place now, and it's not out of anger. It's out of sheer, I forgave them, and whatever they have to deal with, they have to deal with. It's not my problem anymore. But I deserve to take my power back. I deserve to have my life. I deserve to be able to move forward. And to accept this beautiful life that I've been given. And I say that because, I had heart surgery when I was 3. My heart's running fine. But for me, really, every day is not promised. I've known people that have had this that didn't make it out of their teens. And I mean, come on. When I had my surgery, it was in the 70s. All right. So technology isn't like how it is now, where the kind of surgery I had is probably a little less uncommon. Okay, I mean, there's a whole group on Facebook for what I had what I was born, my congenital heart defect that I was born with. And like I said, I'm fine. I am fine, but I am trying to get healthier because I do want her to keep ticking. I'd like her and I to live a very long and wonderful life. But yeah, I mean, I don't, people, it's funny because people see my scar and they're like, they always question. And like, after a while when they get to know me, do you mind if I ask what happened? And it's like, you know what? If you see me on the street, ask. I don't mind. Because that's my lifeline. Without this, I'm, X's over the I's, crossing, the river Styx. paying the ferryman. So, yeah. So I know that was the long way around. That's not exactly what I had intended on talking about, but I figure if I'm where I'm at now, and I have found this beautiful healing within me, feeling brighter and shinier and just more in tune with life, then I want other people to know they can too. I got a very nice compliment the other day from a friend of mine. She's like, you came into my life at just the right time. And she's all, you being so open about your story helped me with mine, or something along those lines. It was very complimentary. It was very sweet. And that's why I do this. Maybe there's other people out there that feel the same way, but when I get feedback like that, it reminds me that, as hard as it is, and as embarrassing as it can be sometimes to make myself so open and share my past and share my healing journey, it's worth it. I share my story to help others heal theirs. That's been my mantra or my motto for a long time. I share my story to help other people heal theirs. Because I know what it was like. I know what it was like to feel alone in this pain. And, you know, even when you know you're not alone, that you figure, I can't be the only person this has ever happened to, it feels lonely because no one talks about it. And a lot of people don't, because of the guilt and the shame. So I figure I'll be the voice for the people who don't want to talk about it. You know, somebody told me that what I do is a gift. Who knew that my being a motor mouth and yammering on and on and on would actually turn out to be a gift? My brain's always going. Like I said, there's squirrels and monkeys in there. But my circus, my monkeys. So anyways, I didn't actually think, oh, well, this is interesting. Card number 35 of Getting into the Vortex, which is basically getting into self-awareness, kind of goes with what I'm talking about right now. That was not planned. I wanted to share what I went through last night, because writing this whole book that my therapist has me writing, she's like, just write the story of your life. I realized that when I started writing it, I'm not writing it from a place where it used to be. I'm writing it from a new perspective. I'm writing it through healed eyes. And when I look at it through healed eyes, I see, wow, I survived all this shit. Like 100%. I made it through all this stuff. Holy crap. And then it's kind of empowering because I made it through, because I was lucky enough to have people to not let me be a statistic. And, you know, to be honest with you, sometimes even when you have all the support around you, sometimes we still end up being a statistic. I mean, technically I'm a statistic because of what happened to me. But, you know, if you've tried and you've tried and you tried, and, you know, it just, nothing worked, at least you know you tried. Because I don't want people to sit out there and say, well, you know, I did everything that maybe your parents did, or I did everything that, you know, blah, blah, blah did, and, you know, this still happened. Trauma is a funny thing. Not funny, haha, but funny in the way it works. Some people are able to move through it, and some people aren't. And they turn to things that help them cope. And even when we have, like I said, even when we have all that support, even when we have people loving us and telling us, hey, I see you, you know, sometimes even that's not enough. Because, you know, there could be diagnosis in your brain that's not being diagnosed. You know, trauma is an ugly thing. You know, no matter what kind of trauma you've been through, it's an ugly thing. You know, like the book I was reading, that my therapist also recommended, The Body Keeps the Score. You know, they were talking about this one couple who got into this terrible pileup. I mean, they watched a girl's car flipped and landed on their car, and they watched her die. You know, and there was nothing they could do. They couldn't get out of their car. They were literally pinned and trapped in their car. But, you know, and that was traumatizing. So trauma comes in many different forms. It's not always just about abuse. It could be emotional abuse, verbal abuse. It's not just physical abuse or sexual abuse. Trauma comes in all forms. You know, maybe you get into a car accident, you know, and you live and the person next to you doesn't. I can't imagine how traumatic that would be. And I've known people that happened to. It happened in high school. And, you know, this person's friend literally became the seatbelt because neither one of them were wearing one. And that saved his life. But at what cost? So there's trauma there too. But it's how we move through it. It's how we push through it. And it's hard. You know, I was telling older sibling that yesterday when I started journaling, all the stuff that I had prompted, I was supposed to do the day before. And then I was just like, I ignored it. You know, I even posted on Twitter and Facebook about how every time I know I need to journal something hard, I squirrel. And by that I mean I just, you know, I go in another direction. It's just like, whoa. But yeah, and that was the same with the chapter I had to write about my relationship with my mom. I had to heal it. And I had to heal it without her in my life. Because she is gone. Because she has passed away. And, and I believe, my beliefs allow me the visitations, but it's not the same. Because, if you do believe, in life after death, they're in a different place. Maybe they have to work through their own stuff. And I have felt some of the things when I've journaled. I have felt my mom and, the sadness that she may have felt for not handling the situation better. But I still had to heal that on my own. And for those of you that don't believe in that, we do still have to heal it on our own. We don't need anyone's validation but our own. Other people's validation is this beautiful bonus. And maybe in some ways it helps you to have more confidence. I mentioned the other day that I'm a Ho'oponopono practitioner, which is it's a metaphysical thing through the Hawaiian culture. It's a practice. It's an ancient practice in the Hawaiian culture. And I have a client, and it's a return client. And it was just kind of like, I know on Etsy, I was just like, wow, I didn't think anyone would do this. And she just left me 2 glowing reviews. And I was like, dang. And that built my confidence. It reminded me, hey, you need to see your own gifts. You need to see what you are capable of. And that's really what getting into the vortex and getting into self-awareness is. Which is why I decided not to do it every day, that I have to do it when I feel inspired to do it. Because my self-awareness is now in the second half of this deck. I am learning along with you. I am learning to understand all these things along with you. And the more I heal the things in my life, the less I ignore it and just start to get it out and up and out. The brighter and shinier I feel. And that's what I want for everybody. So let's get to this card really quick. I have the power to okay, let's try to get to this card real quick. I have the power to direct my own thoughts. I have the power to direct my own thoughts. I love this card. I mean, I know the symbol in there, but I like how it's kind of the brain, right? I have the power to direct my own thoughts. Your thoughts do create the reality that you live. And one of the most exciting things about beginning the process of deliberately focused thought is that the law of attraction will bring you evidence of your improved thought immediately. And while old patterns may be hard to break, and you may slip back into old patterns from time to time, evidence of your effort will be undeniable to you. And before long, with much less effort than you spend trying to dodge negative conversations or train another into better behavior, all of your relationships will improve. I like that last part, or train another into better behavior. You cannot fix people. Sometimes what we don't like in someone else might be something that is shining right in front of us in the mirror as we're looking at ourselves. Sometimes the things that annoy us in other people are because we do it without realizing it. So if that happens, take a good look at yourself. Like I said, we can't fix other people. I mean, you don't have to hang out with these people, but we can't fix other people. We can't make them hurt less. We can't make them less volatile. We can't make them less hostile. We can't make them think the way we think. We can't make them follow our own path, but we can guide. We can guide. We can't train someone to behave like you want them to. Well, I guess we can. But the question is, do you really want to? I think what makes people so amazing is how different we all can be. How our differences are pretty amazing. So again, I have the power to direct my own thoughts. And I love this. This is the ultimate healing card, and it's purple, so it's also the one of the colors of Archangel Michael, who in the angel era, there's chakras and everybody has a different deity for their chakras. But in my personal choice of belief, Archangel Michael, excuse me, is the keeper of the crown chakra. So, and like I said, your beliefs may bring you somewhere different. I'm just telling you what mine are. So, again, your thoughts do create the reality you live. If you're sitting there saying, well, I don't have this, add the word yet. Okay? And this or something better. Because this is talking about the law of attraction. And, I know people that sit there and go, oh, the law of attraction. Well, you may not believe in it, but it believes in you. And trust me when I say that. When you constantly find something to worry about, you are constantly going to be given something to worry about. This is what self-awareness is. This is what getting into that. It's learning about your thoughts. And I feel this card is kind of validating because it was talking about when, excuse me, when those old patterns come up. And I was thinking about that yesterday before I started writing my chapter, but in between journaling and writing that chapter, I thought, you know what? This is interesting because it's like, what happens if these old habits or these old patterns come up? And I thought, you know what? They already have. And I deal with them so much better now. I deal with them in a way I didn't know how to deal with before because I'm not afraid to face it now. Not always. Like I said, I squirrel for a reason when I have to journal because a lot of times it's emotional and it's hard and it's painful in a lot of ways. But if we don't do this for ourselves, then we're just going to stay stuck. And I'm not sure if my mom being gone is the reason I'm stuck, because I do miss her and because I just find it hard and difficult to move forward in a world where she doesn't exist. But she hasn't been here for about 8.5 years. You know, Sunday will be 8 years and 6 months since she passed. And what's it doing for me? Well, I have been on a healing journey of all healing journeys. I have done things I never thought I would do. In fact, today is actually the day 7 years ago that I left for London. That's not something I'm sure I ever would have done had she still been alive. Because I pushed myself. Well, I may have done it, but I wouldn't have done it alone. Right? I mean, I have friends that live over there, and I got to see them for a little bit while I was there, but for the most part, I was on my own when I was there. You know? And it was very empowering, and I miss it. I have to tell you, I was sad when I woke up because I'm like, why has it been so long since I've been back? I need to go back. But that's the only city, or the only country I should say, well, I mean, I love my country. I live here. I was born here. But it's the only country that really kind of speaks to my soul, aside from this one. You know, and I think for me, it's just because, you know, I love my country. I don't love all the shit that's going on in it right now, but some people and their anger is just too much. But you know what? That's why we got to keep spreading our positivity, keep putting out there the good stuff. You know, I have the power to direct my own thoughts. And you know what? If you have the power to direct your own thoughts, consider what you're thinking. Is it positive, or are you just feeding into more negativity? That's the question. Is it positive, or are you feeding into more negativity? And we're not going to be great every day. You know, like I always say this, we're human. We're going to have bad days. We're going to have days where we just want to claw someone's eyes out or throat punch them. But don't do that. That would be bad. That will probably land your butt in jail. So do not do that. You know, you don't want people to be afraid of you. You want people to mutually respect you. And you know, but these are things that I have to work on now. These are things that, you know, if I want to get back to this country I love so much, I have to work on that. I have to open my heart and open my mind to all the possibilities in this world, all the possibilities that can happen. To not be afraid of moving forward in my life because some people aren't here, or maybe because I'm too far, or I'm too worried about being too far from someone else, or, you know, like family or friends, like, oh my God, are they going to be able to survive without me? Yes, they will. You know, no matter where you go in this world, you're still on the same planet. All right. You didn't move to Mars yet. You haven't moved to the moon yet. No one has that we know of yet. But you're still on the same planet. And thanks to modern technology, it's a lot easier to get around than it used to be 100 years ago. So keep that in mind. All right. To take that into consideration. No matter where you go in this world, you're just, you know, one phone call, one FaceTime, one Zoom call, one airplane ride, one boat ride away from the people you love, the people you care about. but you have to live your life for yourself. And I think now that I've reached this point in my life, and, you know, there are things I've had to accept in my life that have been hard, you know, things that I thought would happen for me that never happened when I was younger, and I'm not sure will ever happen now. You know, those are things I've come to terms with. So if there are things that you need to come to terms with, do it. I mean, you know what? Life is a very interesting thing. Life is a very fascinating thing. Anything can happen. You know, so things that we come to terms with doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen. You've just said, okay, I'm not going to put so much sadness on this or so much pain on this anymore. I'm just going to put it inside this little balloon and this little thought balloon, and set it free and see what happens. You know, and if it brings me what I've asked for, then great. If it doesn't, you know, I mean, if it brings you what, you know, you thought you had given up, then poof, look at that. That's the elating part, right? If it doesn't, that's okay, because you're still good with that. You still know that you are going to survive, that you are going to be okay. So again, you have the power to direct your own thoughts. I suggest you make them good ones. You know, again, I do always like to say this because, you know, I sit there and say, we're human, you know, I just say, go make good thoughts. And then I go off and I get in the car and it's like, you know, yelling at every bad driver in front of me, instead of just saying, you know what, I hope they make it to their destination safely. I'm human. I don't always practice what I preach, and I need to get better at that, because if I had, I'd probably be a lot further along in my healing. So, but like I said, you know, I think I'm going to make this statement, and I think I've made it before. I really think I've healed. I've healed all the other stuff. Now it's just dealing with the patterns that come up from time to time. But I think maybe writing about my relationship with my mom was the period on that healing journey that I needed. It's the period on that sentence. That it's okay to move forward. You know, because there's still a lot of people around me that, you know, would be proud of the things I do. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. The only person I need to prove anything to is myself, and the best way to prove things to ourselves is to just live our best life. You know, a lot of people hate that term. I hate the term living my best life because, you know, people sometimes that post all these pictures, living my best life, a lot of those are staged. But you know what? Baby sibling posted on her Snapchat yesterday, one of my nephews, and he's just kicking back at his desk, feet up. She just captioned it, you know, with the Snapchat caption, living my best life. And it was just, most people wouldn't think that. But, you know, he was happy. He was just playing or doing whatever he was doing and just enjoying life. We can learn a lot from kids. We can be reminded a lot about where we're, you know, failing ourselves from kids. Just be open to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. You know, this card about forgiveness, like I said, it's not about forgiving somebody and letting them back in your life. It's forgiving the situation and allowing yourself to heal from it so that you're not carrying it anymore. It's not that ball and chain strapped around your ankle. It's not that heavy sack of bricks that you're constantly carrying. It's about letting all that go and walking away from it and saying, you know what? I'm done. Okay, so again, you have the power to direct your own thoughts. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow that wants to join me for Oracle Friday. It's Aloha Oracle Friday. Yeah, so, well, we've already had a full moon. We've already had, yeah, so, you know what? It'll just be Aloha Oracle Friday. If that's not your thing, that's not your jam, then I will see you back here Monday. Both shows are 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. Facebook Live. All lives are public. Anybody can watch. It's under Shelly Marie Lucas on Facebook. It's under the Aloha Perspective on YouTube. And I do also have a Facebook page, the Aloha Perspective, where I do also share these videos too. So, again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for hanging in there. There was a lot that was happening this week on these shows that I really did not see coming. including today's talk about things to think on Thursday. But I really want people to think about that. I really want people to reach deep inside and heal yourselves. You deserve that peace, you know, in your heart. You deserve that peace of mind. You know, you deserve to be free from the fears that hold you back. You know, we're expected to live these great lives. But sometimes things, you know, come in and they might throat punch us, and we sit on the ground trying to gasp for air. But how long you do that is up to you. If somebody says, you know, if somebody comes up to you and this happens to you and you're like, just breathe. I know it's hard, but just try to breathe. Just relax and try to breathe. Those are the people that are trying to help us. If someone's standing over you and giving you a hard time while you're literally struggling for air, that's what you need to walk away from. You just need to forgive them, move forward. And like I said, you have the option. You can let people back into your life and see how it goes under your conditions, or you can walk away. That's your choice. That is totally your choice. You just have to do what's best for you. And you know, like I said, time can change things. So how you're feeling today may not be how you're feeling tomorrow. You just have to give yourself one day at a time. All right. So again, have a great day, everybody. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I will see you back here Monday, and have a wonderful weekend if I do not see you tomorrow. Have a great day.